Do you have a paranormal encounter you'd like to share with us? Send us an email with your story for a chance of it being featured on Weird World. This is the first time I'm publicly speaking about this. I'm a 31-year-old woman, married, and have recently moved back in with my parents after returning to the town I grew up in. My husband and I are taking our time looking for our own place, as we are wanting something nice in the area, which of course has been difficult to find. This sequence of events took place at my parents' house, starting back around 10 years ago. I'll briefly describe the house for a bit of context. It's a 2-story brick and stone house in the outer limits of the city and is completely surrounded by woods. You have to pass through a garage that leads into the kitchen, with the first bedroom located to your left. Past the kitchen is the main living room, and to the right is a large expansive hallway. In this area is the main dining room and a second living room area, and if you continue straight, there's a staircase on the left, and further still is my parents' bedroom and bathroom. Going up the stairs, you will come to the third living area, and turning left leads you to 3 other bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. There are also 2 sets of French doors side by side that lead to the outside balcony. As you can imagine, the house is quite large, and it is where the story takes place. The first time I stepped foot into the house, I immediately felt off, like something just wasn't right. I sensed a presence that I didn't know how to explain. I brushed it off, thinking I was just being paranoid. However, I continued to sense this for the next couple of years, and because of this, didn't much enjoy visiting them. My parents liked to gamble a lot back then, so they would ask me to babysit my baby brother and sister over the weekend. My boyfriend, who is now my husband, loved them both, so he would always babysit with me. The first few times I didn't really pay attention to the feeling I would get because we would both be busy playing or eating with the kids. We would usually just chill out in front of the television and end up watching movies until it was time for us all to go to bed. Now my husband is a freak of nature and always seems to be able to fall asleep the second his eyes close. I, on the other hand, take forever to get comfortable enough to wind down my mind, and when I do finally get to sleep, the quality usually isn't great. On one particular night, for the first time, I saw and heard something. In the bedroom we slept in, the bed was facing the doorway, but was not directly in front of it. With the double doors open, you could see the front of the staircase and all the way down the hallway, as long as the light was on, that is. On this night, only one of the hallway lights was on. I was lying in bed with the television on, but with the volume down low so that I could hear if one of the kids called out to me. I was almost asleep when I heard one of my siblings come down the stairs. I opened my eyes a bit and waited for them to get to the bottom, but they never did. I didn't think anything of it and closed my eyes and began to drift off again. A few minutes later, I heard it again. So once more, I opened my eyes and waited, but again, whoever it was, they never reached the bottom. This time I sat up and listened. I was a bit spooked at this point, but it was nothing I couldn't handle. So I nervously got up to go check to see if one of the kids was up on the stairs. I thought maybe they were too scared to come down all the way or something. However, no one was there. Confused and thinking I must have been dreaming, I went back to bed, this time closing one of the double doors. A few hours later, at around 2:30 a.m, I felt the presence of someone that seemed very close to me, as if they were standing next to the bed right in front of me. Usually when I opened my eyes, I would see the green glow of the alarm clock on the bedside table, but this time I saw nothing. It was as if something was blocking the view. It was pitch black. I couldn't even see the hallway light on, and the television had turned itself off. I felt like I couldn't move. I was awake now and terrified to my bones. I was finally able to call out my husband's name loud enough to wake him. He reached over and turned on the light, and at that same moment, the intense feeling of fear vanished and I was able to move. I became distraught and started to cry. I couldn't begin to explain to him what had happened, and besides, he was a bit of a hard skeptic on all things paranormal, so I simply told him that I had been having a nightmare and asked him to go check on the kids. When he returned, he said that the kids were fine and got back into bed. With the light on, I was able to fall back to sleep, although it took me what seemed like an eternity. The next day I told my mum about what had happened, and that's when she recounted her own experiences to me. She told me that she too had been hearing footsteps on the stairs at night and even saw someone standing by the door at times. She didn't tell anyone because she did not want to scare the kids. This is when she told me what she had done. She wanted to know what was going on in her house, so she went and bought a voice recorder. One day, while everyone was out, she decided to use it and went upstairs. She asked your typical questions like, "Who is there? What do you want? And why are you here?" She then said, "You have passed away and need to go into the light. You are not welcome here." The next day, she decided to leave the recorder in one of the bedrooms upstairs. She had left it recording for about 4 hours while she was out running errands. I asked her if she had listened to it, and to my surprise, she said that she had been too afraid to do so alone. I myself certainly wanted to listen to it. I wanted answers. We both went to the computer, connected the recorder, dragged the file across, and began listening. During the 4 hours she was gone, you could hear something clicking or tapping. Sounds of a drawer opening and closing, but we weren't certain. We then listened to the part where she was asking questions. Now there was background noise that seemed to resemble a fan or maybe some static throughout the whole recording, so some sounds were indistinguishable. But the one sound we did hear chilled us to the core. When she had asked it, "What do you want?" it had given an answer. The answer was Jamie, my brother's name. It didn't answer any other questions, except for that one. I immediately began to cry. My brother Jamie had been having night terrors constantly. We had all assumed it was psychological, but now we knew something had been there with him every night. We soon asked a friend to cleanse the house, and for a while everything was okay. My brother stopped having the night terrors, and my mother was able to sleep comfortably. All was well again, until now. I have been living in this house for about a month and a half, and for the last 3 weeks I have been seeing things everywhere, especially when I'm by myself. Because of this, I'm unable to stay there alone anymore. I'm constantly haunted by an intense sensation of being watched. Just recently, I felt someone tugging at my blanket as I tried to sleep. I think it is time for another cleanse. It may be worth noting that there is a family history on my mother's side, going back at least 3 generations, of being able to perceive so-called spirits. My father's side of the family too also apparently has a history of practicing alleged black magic, but that was well before my time. I don't tend to enjoy speaking to them, and I refuse to dabble in any of the supposed spiritual rituals many people do. I stay as far away from it as possible, and I recommend that others do the same. Even if you are careful, these spirits can attach themselves to you and haunt you for a long time, perhaps even after you are gone.